كده كده راه شويه.
شوية شوية.
Quick question.
Uh-oh.
Quick question before we start.
Yeah.
When people ask you to, let's say some words in Algerian or Wahranian dialect, usually their
Uh-huh.
reaction they will be they will laugh. They will not
Oh,
laugh
yeah.
in the perspective of bullying, but they're just having
No.
fun
Sure.
and they're happy because you're doing some effort.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the other side, I can't see
Yeah.
any people from the US that they love when you don't pronounce the word very good. They just don't
Hmm.
care. Yeah, and they don't give you any kind of these challenges like spell this or tell me this, and they
Right.
wait you have to pronounce it.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you think? Why there's this difference? In Algerian is very happy when Kili say berkukis or gurgar,
Mhm.
and the other side, Kili doesn't care about Yusuf when he say any of complex English words.
Oh, interesting. Like, so are you asking me, yeah, why do Americans
Y-
or English speakers not notice when other people whose native language isn't English, or like why don't they like get
Yeah,
excited or feel or like
yeah,
ask like, "Hey, can you spell this
yeah, yeah,
word? Can
yeah,
you do
yeah.
this?"
That's it. That's yeah. Just
Yeah,
think about
that's
it.
very
I don't know if you have
sure.
a really question, but we're thinking about it because I don't have an
Yeah,
answer to.
it's a good question. I so it was like maybe a month and a half ago. I was there was like this conference here in Oran, and I was with somebody from the embassy at one point, and we were like, she's Algerian, but she's like kind of like helped me with a lot of things and what, and we're friends. And we went somewhere together, and this person started speaking to me, and they were speaking in English, and I was just responding to them. And after, she was like, Kelly, why did you not compliment them on speaking English to you? And I was like,
Oh,
oh my gosh. I was like, whoa, I don't I realized in that moment, oh, people speak English to me because they want me to comment on it. And
okay.
or like, yeah, and I had never thought about this before. And I think it some of it has to do with like as English speakers, we can be a little bit self-centered maybe and not
Yeah.
think about other people.
Okay.
And so, I think I didn't think about because I think English is like can be we can not
It's
realize
it's a
that it's
must. It's a must comparing with the
yeah, I
Wahranian
know.
dialect. Mm.
We think like, oh, we have some sort of maybe like built-in entitlement that we carry
Mm.
with us that like I didn't realize I had where I like don't even notice sometimes when people speak English to me because I'm like, oh, it's just like normal, it's normal for me.
Yep.
But then after she said that, now I always will compliment people. So that's yeah. So I think some of it is like some selfishness that's in us being native English speakers, but also, I mean, and maybe selfish is like too I don't know, maybe people would
Okay.
disagree with me, but I feel like it's just we have some kind of entitlement maybe that we carry around. But then also I would never be like, can you spell this word? Can you say this word? Because
Because
that
yeah,
feels rude.
yeah.
It feels rude.
Okay.
Like, because, yeah. So, I mean, but it's different when people do that to me. I think that's totally different. And I'm
Got
like,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah. But I think
Mm.
it's like, yeah, it feels rude to me.
There's a
Yeah.
book. There's a book of Edward Said. The book is
Uh-huh.
Orientalism, and he said that
Oh.
there is the book is a critical examination of Western representation of the East,
Huh.
particularly of the Middle East and North Africa. And
Uh-huh.
Edward Said argued that
Huh.
Orientalism is a cultural and intellectual
Hmm.
framework through which
Mhm.
the West has historically viewed and studied the East. And he contends that
Okay.
Orientalists represent often uh, perpetuate stereotypes, exoticize
Mm.
the East, and reinforce a
Mhm.
sense of Western superiority. So when
Mhm.
Kili was living, let's say, in Washington and came to Wahran,
Yeah.
you already have an cultural accumulations of what is Algeria and what is Wahran.
Hmm.
Do you think Edward Said is right? Um,
Hmm.
because you had an idea, and when you live here, you find another idea, or it's the same? Because
Hmm.
Said said something very I don't know. I didn't experience that. But he said that someone from US, let's say, they
Mhm.
will never understand the Algerian because they have already a framework of analyzing stereotypes. They have already
Mm.
a cultural accumulations that they can't let them see things in the
Mm.
way that we are seeing it. What do you think
Hmm.
about that?
What do you mean a framework? Like we have a framework of
I
understanding
mean, I mean,
stereotypes.
pattern, or a way of
Yeah.
thinking, or
Yeah.
I don't know. It's vice versa. It's vice versa. It's same for me. I will see the people in the US in in a specific way, but it's not
Sure.
the right way because maybe the media teach me what is the US, the Algerian
Yeah.
media. I'm saying, and when
Mhm.
I will, even if I will live in the US, I will still
Mhm.
analyze the people in the US in my way, not the real way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
What do
Well,
you
yeah,
think
I
about
can
that?
see what you're saying. I think that, um, well, I mean, so truthfully, I didn't know a lot about Algeria before I came. There's
Okay.
not a lot of like public, I think, like understanding of Algeria in the US. And,
Not
you
Algeria,
know,
but
some
let's
of,
say the East. Let's say the Middle East and North Africa in
hmm,
general.
sure, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that, you know, um, hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess I had some ideas about what it would be like and maybe
Okay.
how I would be treated,
Hmm.
particularly like as a woman, and also though I tried to I guess I'm a person who before I do anything, I like get a lot of research like I do a lot of research as much as I can before
Hmm.
I do anything that I do. And so I talked to I tried to talk to everybody who had um, been here, and frankly, it wasn't very many people that I could find,
Yeah, sure.
like Westerners. And um, all the people I talked to were women, actually, like former. So I'm an English language fellow, so I'm like a teacher of teachers here, and I talked to some former ones who had come before the pandemic and had to leave because of the pandemic, and they were all women, and they were much older than me. And then I talked to a Fulbright scholar who she was also much older than me, but she was the only one I talked to who had actually lived in
Okay.
Wahran. And so yeah, but I had some ideas about perhaps how I would be treated, I guess personally, but I didn't really. But I also got the sense that um, the, that people didn't really know what Algerian culture was like, and the few people that I talked to were like, "It's very different than anything anyone else is telling you about." Like Morocco or other places, like this is a different culture. And so I
Mm,
came in understanding that I didn't know, and like that what people were telling me might not be true. Even
okay.
my friend from Tunisia, I talked to her, and she'd only been to Algiers one time, and so I kind of took everything everyone said with a grain of salt. Like, I
Okay.
knew that maybe they
Because
didn't really.
the
Yeah,
experience of a tourist is not like your experience.
sure.
You're living here.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah,
when you go
yeah,
to
and you come
Istanbul, yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, and you come to Algiers for, like, what, 1 day, 2 days, like, you can't
yep.
really know even if you're from the region, right? So, anyway, and so, yeah, but I definitely had some preconceived notions, especially growing up in the West, especially with Western media and things that you learn about the Middle East. But North Africa, I mean, I didn't know a lot about North Africa, though, and I did know, like, maybe it's a little different than the Middle East. But anyway, I had some friends. So I think this was like my understanding was informed from the media, things I'd read, but also from my friends who, like, I had some pretty good friends in the US from Saudi Arabia in particular. And so
Mm,
I had very good, like a very positive view of the Middle East, in my opinion. Like,
okay.
I feel like I'd experienced a lot of hospitality from people in the US, and I'd seen, like, how people practice, even like a little bit how people practice Islam, and like from those cultures, like I was like, it's a very hospitable culture. Like, so I was coming in excited, but I think what really surprised me was, well, first of all, I think I came in uh like I've definitely been having a honeymoon period, right? Where I'm like,
Okay,
oh my,
yeah.
everything's amazing. Like I'm thriving. I love everything. Yeah. And I know that I have particular privileges, like for sure, coming in as an American, and I'm maybe shielded from some of the cultural elements that
Yeah,
like I don't know, but
yeah.
I've like personally loved it. But I think something that really surprised me is how safe that I do feel here actually. And
Okay.
like how and people are really funny because they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, like don't go like to this place like during this time." Like, and there are some places, of course. I'm careful. I'm a very careful person, but
Mm.
before I came here I lived in Washington DC, and it's a very big city, and I was
Washington is safe, and for example, Oran is safer than New
yeah.
York. Wahran
Well, sure. Yeah.
is safer than New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
But
But I'd say like
comparing to Washington, Washington is good, I think.
well, I mean, it's not. I think that I do feel safer here though in general. Like I feel like I'm less harassed. I
Okay.
like feel more protected in some ways. I don't know. Like I
Mm.
just feel like in some ways I do feel safer, and I think there's a more communal commitment to taking care of each other. I felt very taken care of by like neighbors and friends and that I've met and who only know me a little bit, And so yeah, but like now that it's very different. You're right. Like visiting somewhere versus living somewhere. And I
Yep.
wonder how much of like like in that book that you were talking about, which I'm really interested in. I kind of want to read it now that you told me about it, but I uh I wonder how many Westerners have really like immersed themselves in the culture. And I'm not saying that like I've only been here since October, but I do think that you know, um, yeah, it does start to undo stereotypes or like perspectives that you have.
Right.
And yeah, but I don't know if I agree. Okay, because you were saying like we
Uh,
can't really know, like can't have
yeah,
really an accurate view.
that
And I
was
don't know if I totally agree with you
okay.
because I hope it's okay, but I feel like because I think we all have a cultural background that we're
Yeah.
coming at anything from. And so I don't know that it's like inaccurate, like
Mm.
how we view, but it's just like the reality, like that we
Okay.
have different perspectives. And I think that there are some things that I've been surprised by myself that I'm like, wow, I really prefer this about Algerian culture, but now like that I'm here longer, I'm like I love these things, and some things are very difficult for me the longer that I'm
Good.
here, like. And so but and I think I can see the cultural, like my cultural identity much clearer, and like
Nice.
yeah, because of this like contrast where I'm like, wow, that's like really not what I'm used to or what I prefer, and
Yeah.
I know it's because of my culture. And so that's
Yeah.
really interesting too. But
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't know
Yep.
if it's like, I think like the more we live and like spend time with people from another culture, the more that it's like maybe we recognize our cultural identity, but then also it does change a little bit, like, so
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah. Oh,
know. Mm.
sometimes when you're not from Algeria and you're surrounded by people, let's say from people from Wuhan, they will treat you in a special way. So sometimes,
Sure.
whatever,
Yeah.
10, 20 years, you will never live the
Yeah.
real experience.
Yeah.
So yes,
You're right.
because of
That's
that
true.
cultural background,
That's a great point.
they're all trying to be cute with you, nice with you,
Uh-huh.
because
Yeah.
they're trying to represent Algeria, and
Totally.
it's very critical to show their bad side. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So that's
interesting.
what of the things that Saeed is saying in his book. Anyway, let's say
Okay.
the other version, the vice versa. You speak with many Algerians, and they
Hmm.
have that the American dream that they want to live in the
Yeah.
U.S.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think? What are the things that you are almost sure that they will lose and they will not find when they will go to the
Oh,
US? And
yeah.
they are, let's
I
say, the US is very big. New York is different than
Mhm.
LA, than Washington.
Yep.
In
Oh,
general,
yeah.
let's speak in general,
Sure.
specifically in the Washington. What are the things that
Yeah.
are good here and they will not find there
Mm.
from
Mm.
an
Good
Algerian
good here in
perspective?
Algeria. Yeah. Well, I think that what I really find that's good here is that, um, it seems like Algerians aren't gonna go hungry here. Like, I'm not saying that that's not true for anyone, but like people have their basic needs met. That's something I've definitely noticed.
Yep.
And living in DC, and if you visit Washington or New York or any major city, you will see extreme homelessness.
Right.
And I know I've talked to some Algerians here who were very surprised when they visited the US.
Yep.
So like it seems like here, although maybe people don't have everything that they want, they do have their basic needs met oftentimes. And so that is something that is not a guarantee in the US. And that includes like healthcare also. Like our healthcare is extremely expensive in the US, and housing is expensive, and even food like is pretty expensive. And so
The
I
extreme
think,
capitalism will hit you if you lose your focus one day. For 1 month you will not work, and
yeah.
yeah.
No, it's true. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, the US is very, very capitalistic. It's true. It is. I would also say like in Algeria, something that, and maybe this is different if I lived in Algiers, but it seems like, people's work is not their identity. It's not like the first thing that you ask somebody at a party, whereas in the US, it is one of the first things that you ask somebody. It's like a
Okay.
core part of our identity. And we take very little vacation in the United States. Like,
Yeah.
we are really tied to our work, and that's definitely true in DC, but also in most places. It's not common to, like here, I've really noticed that people are so like very, very committed to their family, but also to their friends, and like prioritize friendships and really prioritize relationships. And I would say that that's not that people don't, people do, we love our family, we love our friends in the US, but it oftentimes we're not prioritizing them in the same way that people are here. We're not spending like many hours every week, or I mean, it depends. Okay, like
Yeah.
it's a little bit hard to explain because I think Americans would be like, no, like I do prioritize. It's Americans we do prioritize our families in particular, but it's not the same. We don't spend as much time
If
with
we take
people.
the whole picture, it will be
Yeah.
with now we will not judge the American people in the wrong way when they prioritize work,
Yeah.
because when you live there,
Yeah. Yeah.
you will
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah. You would. Yeah.
A friend
Yeah.
from the US asked me, when you're not in Algeria, how many times you call your mom? I told
Uh-huh.
him that I'm a bad boy. I'm not a family guy, and I call her 2 to 3 times a week. And he said, "Wow."
Yeah. Oh.
And I said, "Usually it's every day." And he said, "Oh my
Wow.
God." And when he
Yeah.
explained to me,
Uh-huh.
I really understand that maybe he loved his mom more than me, and he called her once for each 3 to 4 months.
No.
You know what I mean? So 3 to 3 months
Yeah.
doesn't mean you
Yeah.
don't love your mom,
Yep.
just because
Yeah,
the
that's true.
it's different
Yep.
culture, different
Yeah.
context. And he told
Yep.
me,
It's true.
yeah. So
Yeah, for sure. Like America is a more individualistic culture.
yep,
We do value privacy. We value, and I think Algerians do value privacy as well, but like we really like, value privacy and our individual rights and freedoms. Like it's just true, right? Like for instance, like I have some friends here, like okay, so like smoking is a much bigger thing here. Like in the US, people don't really smoke that much.
yep,
And so like some of my friends, I'm like, oh, like I like they've talked about not wanting to smoke anymore or whatever. But I would never, ever, ever, even if I think somebody like I'm like, oh, I want them to stop smoking, I would never impose my own
mm,
opinion on their decisions. I would never, I mean, maybe eventually, right? Maybe eventually I'd be like, have you ever thought about or wonder if, do you want me to help you, whatever? But like really not really, because it's such a personal decision. And so like, and I've talked to some friends about this and they're like, no, no, no. Like here, if your friends don't want you to do something, they will like throw all your cigarettes away or like whatever, And
yeah,
I think like in the US, like that's not what we do, like we
yep.
really, really value our own privacy and other people's privacy and independence. And so yeah, and we have different
Even
opinions.
if the body language, we are close to a person when we talk to them,
Yeah. Yeah,
comparing to
yeah,
the space that
yeah.
they give you in the US.
Right. Sure, yeah. Yeah, so it is different in that way. So I mean, and I've told people like I'm not lonely here. Like I don't really feel lonely. Whereas in the US, I felt lonely all the time. And I have like very good friends. And I think I'm a person who I really prioritize my friendships a lot more than most people. Like it's just true. Like I make a point to go visit my friends like every year. I'll go fly to see them and stuff. And But like still I would feel very lonely, and it's very common for Americans to be lonely. And I think
Mm.
especially if you are an immigrant, it's
Yep.
going to be really lonely. And I think for Algerians, there are a few places in the US where there are big groups of Algerians, right? Like it's New York, I think. Like I don't,
Boston
maybe
also.
LA. Okay, Boston. Yeah, I have heard about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that unless you live in those places, you're not going to find a community of like-minded people. And or like I don't know. I mean, like maybe you will, right? But it's going to be harder. And just keep in mind that like cities, it's extremely expensive. They are so expensive.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Great.
So
Great.
those are
Great.
just a few things. Yeah.
Another question, because you're a teacher here, you teach teachers
Yeah.
to teach
Yeah, I
English.
do. Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenges in education is let's suppose when a government want to develop the educational program, there will
Yeah.
be a close limit comparing to a development of a private school program. Because the huge amount of teachers that you have, usually they have an average level, and they cannot teach that perfect program that you are preparing with adaptive learning and something like that. So
Sure.
what do you think about, this one of the biggest challenges, that you cannot scale a good solution just because you don't have the you know that amount of teachers that can handle this solution, comparing to just a small entity. uh, you can hire good teachers to deliver that good program. So how can we develop and scale um, the education in a government, even if we have average teachers?
So are you talking about like the curriculum?
Yeah,
Like
the
if there's a
curriculum.
standardized curriculum?
Yeah, the
Um,
scalability of a good curriculum. Because let's say I want, there is now there is a revolution of AI. I want in each
yeah,
elementary school the teachers to teach an introduction to AI. But
sure.
I can't do that, because I know my teachers. I know their level.
Mm,
Usually in each country
yeah,
they have an average level, so they cannot
yeah.
provide and teach this kind of new content.
Mhm.
So I cannot update
Yeah.
my program. So,
Right, yeah. Sure.
but in the same time, I want to develop the program of my government,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and do the scalability of that. So yeah, this is
Yeah,
one of the biggest
for sure.
challenges of education. What do you think about that? Or is
Yeah,
there any?
definitely. No, I think that's a problem across, probably for most countries, even the US. And just, I mean, I have most experience teaching in the US. And so like what we would do in the US is every year there would be new initiatives and new curriculum development and different things that we had to do. And so every single year, at the beginning of the year and throughout the year, we would have professional development at our individual school. And so like the leaders of the local education sector would come and give trainings to the teachers, and it would be a requirement. It was part of our job, and we would get paid for it. And then we would be like evaluated on those things throughout the year. So I think like that is one way. It's not like a perfect way, but I do think it's a pretty well. But you have to have the people the trainers to do those events. But I
Yeah.
do think it is a way to introduce and help to like make sure that your teachers are staying up to date on like the newest policies or practices. But then at some schools that I've worked at, they also will have like coaches that will come in and coach the teachers, and the coaches are like not connected, weren't connected to our scores or like our evaluation. Well, they were a little bit, but not as much as some of the other administrators. But they would come and they would coach us every single week, and oftentimes they would choose like newer teachers or teachers who were new to the that district, and would train them and like observe them and things like that. So that's more like day to day improvement. But of course, this requires like money and resources and people. So yeah, but I think that those are the some ways that it can be more effective.
Hmm.
But it's easier said than done for sure.
Also, there is the goal-oriented teaching method, where you don't
Yeah.
define the curriculum and how they should teach, but you just define the goals. and you let the teachers create their way to reach those
Mm.
goals. And at the
Yeah.
end, you see the result of each teacher, and the ones
Yeah.
who got the best result, you try to understand the behaviors of their student,
Yeah.
and you try to find the same behavior in another state, and
Yeah.
implement the same program to them. What do you think about AI and education? Do you think, are you losing your jobs, guys?
I personally think I think AI is like a neutral concept. Like it can be good, it can be bad. It's like, it can
Yeah,
not
just like
I don't
internet,
think
like.
it's just, yeah, and I think
Mm,
too, it's interesting to me, like, because there's so much of our lives that we use already that's AI. Like Siri is AI. Like the algorithm for like Netflix is AI. Like there's a lot of things that we're already doing that like include AI. So it's interesting to me that people are like alarmist right now about this. Because I'm like, wait, like you use AI every day.
yeah, yeah.
uh, like Google is AI. I think people are scared of. It seems like people seem more afraid of chat GPT or like things like
Mm,
that for some reason.
mm,
And then that's extended into some other, I was just leading a little training last week about this. But I think that, I don't know. I think that when there's anything new that's like revolutionary or seems to be like, uh, yeah, that it's very new and impacting people in a significant way, that there's a lot of fear about it. And so I suspect, and I could be wrong, I'm like by no means an expert, but I think that some of the fear will die down eventually.
yep.
But I think with teaching in particular, we've always had issues with plagiarism, with like,
Mm,
I mean, with students, like I've taught children and I've also taught university students. And like I always would have to lead plagiarism trainings for my university students, especially because they were international students and anyway. So I would it doesn't matter, but yeah, I would lead all these trainings, plagiarism trainings, and it's always been an issue like for so long. And so
mm,
maybe there are new issues and maybe it will be more difficult to detect some of these things, but I think that there's always a I think that good teachers will teach their students to critically think, and that there are ways to make sure that your students are performing in the classroom that they can't be using AI. They can't be using those tools when you're like evaluating them. So like even if they're gonna I think there are also ways. I personally, when I'm like, okay, everybody's afraid of something, I'm like, let me just bring it into my classroom and we'll work on
mm,
it together and we'll see how can we use this
yep.
in a way that like benefits my students. Like let's like look up, I'm like, I want to just be like, okay, let's search and be like, find me an essay that does, is about this topic, whatever, and have my students like evaluate the essay based on a rubric and be like, is this like really matching the rubric? Like in what ways is it inadequate? In what ways is it like not critical? And I
Mm,
think that it can be a tool to show students how to critically think. I just think like it's a mistake if we're like, no, this is all bad and terrible and we can't, like,
yeah,
if
yeah.
people like think we shouldn't use them at all, it's a mistake because it's
Yep.
already here. So
Yep.
like find a way to use it in a way that's like gonna help your students, is my
It's an
opinion.
assistant. It's an assistant. It's just like people who
Yeah.
were riding horses. They were afraid
Uh,
when car
yes,
came.
yes,
So
exactly.
yeah, it's
Yes,
the same for AI. Just use it as an assistant,
exactly.
and get the turbo and boost your career.
Yep. Mhm. I
Okay,
agree.
great. Last question: food.
Ah.
So yeah, tell me in general about your. I would like to know what, because I'm living in Iran, you're living in Iran. Uh,
Uh-huh.
it's not right to compare, but I'm really interested to know what's your lifestyle here in Iran.
Oh, my
Tell me a little
lifestyle
bit.
is, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I walk
Okay.
down to the souk and I buy
Okay.
a bunch of vegetables and I buy fruit. And
Okay.
yeah, no, I love cooking with all the local fruits and vegetables. And I love my local fromagerie, and I buy yogurt and cheese from them and bread. I love the bread culture here. Like I
Oh,
have been a baker for a long
ah,
time.
oh,
Yeah,
it's
and
a
in
family
the
thing,
U.S.
or you just
No, not really.
okay,
Well, food is a family thing. Like in my family, food is
okay,
extremely important, which isn't
nice.
true for all families in the US. Yeah, but my
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
my mom's from the southern part of the US, and my
Mm.
dad like loves to cook also. So, the South in the US has like a really big food culture, and so food has always been super important. But I got really into bread baking maybe like in I don't know, 13, and so it's been a while.
Wow.
So and in the US, bread isn't as much of a staple food. And so here I'm like thriving. I even yeah, in the US we have a type of bread. It's like naturally leavened bread, so you don't use
Mhm.
yeast. And it's like with the sourdough starter. I brought my sourdough starter here, but I have not baked. I baked bread one time since I've been here, but I just don't
Okay.
need to because there's bread everywhere. So
Mm.
yeah, I'm just like eating a lot of that, and then I also eat a lot of Syrian food here in
Ah,
Wahran. So
shawarma.
yeah, shawarma, and also like meze. I just like get a bunch of meze, like I get like hummus and
Ah,
like mohamara and salad and stuff, and I just like eat it for days.
meh, meh.
French fries. But no, I mean, yeah, I've had couscous once. I do love berkugas, but I've only had it once. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. That what I heard
guarantee,
in your podcast that you
yeah,
tried berkukus once and
yeah, once,
this one,
and
yeah.
it's so good. I need to learn how to make it. I need to learn. But I love Karantika, like with harissa. It's so
Okay,
good. So
nice.
yeah, and crepone. I love crepone. So
Ah, okay, that's good. That's good. That's good.
yeah, yeah,
Have
yeah, yeah.
did you experience the food in the other wilayas of Algeria?
Huh.
Not yet.
Well, not very much. Yeah, not very much. So I definitely need to do that for
Yeah.
sure. It's a
Okay,
goal
great.
for the next year. Yeah.
So yeah, tell me about your podcast and the project.
Oh, okay. Well, um, so the whole idea came from me wanting to learn Darja, okay? And
Oh,
it's been a little bit of a struggle, yeah, for me because I have more of a background in French, so I can get around. But
nice.
trying to learn Darja, all my friends are like, "Oh, you'll just learn it by hanging out with us." Gotta say, not how language learning works. So I'm learning
Oh.
some things, but but it's not really like I need some more like consistency. So I was
Mm,
like, wonder if my friend and I start this podcast. He teaches me Daija, and
okay.
I'm shamed publicly, right? That will help me be more motivated. And it's working, Shwiya, just a little bit,
Meh, meh.
but we started the podcast also as an effort to kind of merge like learning Daija with also like through the cultural elements of Algeria and specifically Wahran, and then also like having some cultural exchange, with like how my experiences compared to the US and things like that. So yeah, it's been really, really fun.
And what's the name of the
But
podcast?
yeah. Latte مع الأصحاب. Tea with
Latte مع
friends. Because
الأصحاب. Okay, nice.
yeah, yeah.
Good, good, good,
Because
good.
yeah, we would often meet for tea or coffee, and so we thought might as well make it's like how we became friends. So
Mm,
it makes sense. That's
meh,
yeah,
meh. And
yeah, yeah.
how many episodes you do right now? You
Oh
did?
my gosh, that's a good question. We have some in the docket, like ready to be be
Published?
released.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the latest one we did was Karantika. But I
Mm-hmm.
think out now we have one, two, three, 4 episodes out right now. But we have some more on the way. So yeah, please listen. We're on Spotify. We're
Great.
pretty easy to find. So
Great.
and on Instagram. Yeah.
And the program that you are teaching here in Oran is solo program.
Um.
Is there a way
So I.
for some people who can
Mm,
join or apply,
mm,
or it's
Unfortunately, not really. So I work with École Normale Supérieure.
mm-hmm.
It's a teachers college. And so I teach there. And then I also do stuff with the American Corner here in Oran. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a way that maybe people could get more involved. Yeah,
In the
but
American
the
corner.
class, yeah, 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 at the American Corner.
Okay.
But yeah, my classes, it's more of like it's like students who apply and, so I teach them. But yeah, but the American Corner, I'm there sometimes and I'm gonna have some workshops and different things like that. So yeah, you could see me there for sure.
Great. شكرا بزاف
Yeah.
كيلي، يعطيك الصحة على وقتك.
شكرا.
أيوة، ونتلاقوا إن شاء الله عند عيبوط ناكلو كرنتيكا.